Hey, welcome to Politics and Wellness. Sorry, that was the wrong one. And thanks for coming. So let's just get started into a whole bunch of stuff that's going on. Where to start? Hey, Keisha, how you doing? Welcome. Nice to see you. All right. So, like I said, let's get started into all of this buffoonery that is going on. So, today was the first day of the payroll cut. The tax payroll has been cut for a couple of months, at least until sometime next year. So you will see extra funds in your paychecks. However, of course, this is Donald Trump's way of kind of, hey, look what I'm doing for you guys. Look what I'm doing. So make sure you vote for me in November. But there's always a catch, especially dealing with somebody like him. Of course, there's always a catch. So in your nice little payroll bonus that you're going to get, mind you, at the same time that you get this back in your paycheck, that takes away from your Social Security and everything else that it goes to. But we'll save that for another day. So your payroll tax is given back to you from now until sometime next year. I think they said January or February, something like that. However, on the back end, your employer is going to be responsible for paying the bill when it's due. So that means for you, your paycheck next year will be kind of skimpy. So make sure you get in those extra hours as much as you can, because people's paychecks will be looking mighty slim come next year when the bill is due for this payroll tax. So, every good thing always has some kind of fine print behind it. So make sure that if you do sign up for your payroll tax to be given back to you, that you know that when the bill is due, so will your paycheck. So please make sure that everybody, that you are aware of that, because it's really serious out here. And being that the pandemic has lasted as long as it has, it is very important that we be mindful of that. Hey, Patty Duke, how you doing? Welcome. Hey, Nanny Hawkins, what's going on? Nice to see you. All right, so we definitely need to make sure that that you do know that. Now, here's some other news that's pretty important, and kind of when I read it, I was a bit taken aback by the whole thing. Breonna Taylor's ex-boyfriend was given a plea deal if he was to implement Taylor to being a part of this drug ring that he was basically, that's what they were looking for him about. They wanted to have him implicate Taylor as part of this drug ring, definitely after she was murdered. Of course, to tie her in, to make everything fit as far as the reason why they went in there, the reason why she possibly could have gotten murdered, because she was a dangerous person involved in this drug racketeering kind of organization, just a bunch of baloney. And, it really just pisses me off, because here we are, you can't even admit that, one, and excuse my French, but one, you fucked up mainly. Two, you allowed a young woman to die, and you gave out false information. Period. You gave false information to the judge to get the no-knock warrant. You gave false information in your report after the incident happened. You didn't put anything in there. You didn't say that you shot up an apartment where other people were dwelling. You didn't say any of that. But you had all this time to come up with all of these stories of kind of connecting her with her ex-boyfriend, just for the simple fact that, they may have dated. And okay, yeah, they may have dated. And so what? They were no longer dating. He was still using her cell phone number and putting it like on information that, like, once he got locked up one time, he put her cell phone number down as a form of contact. And he probably used her address before. Uh, and that doesn't mean she knew that he was doing this. However, that's what they used to kind of connect the two of them together, as her being a part of his drug criminal activity. So, like I said, yeah, the prosecution tried to give the ex-boyfriend, who's been in jail. He was captured the day earlier that day, before they actually went to Breonna Taylor's apartment. He was already in custody. But of course, that narcotics unit, quote unquote, didn't know that, which I don't believe that either. I believe they knew that. They was just trying to see what more information or what more material they could gather on the person that they captured earlier this morning. So they figured they would go to her address, thinking that that's where he stashed it all. And come to find out, of course, during all this, of course, she winds up dying. And fast forwarding, the boyfriend, her current boyfriend, winds up shooting back to defend their household, and they put him in jail. He winds up being in jail for a while. And because of the pressure from the media and people protesting, they wind up releasing the boyfriend. Now, the ex-boyfriend, who's been in jail this whole time, they wind up trying to give him a plea deal to say, hey, why don't you just say that she was a part of your drug racketeering group, and we can give you a less sentence. Only, I think the sentence that they were giving him without even implementing her was 10 years. He declined it. The attorneys for Breonna Taylor's family are furious because it shows that there's a lack of trust, one, for the state, and two, faith in that the state is actually telling them everything that possibly happened and that went wrong. But we all knew that this story was pretty fishy, just because it didn't make any sense. It wasn't adding up. She, an EMT worker, anybody who works in healthcare seriously to that degree, know that any kind of drugs that you even think about doing, they pulling hair follicles now. They're not just doing piss tests and just random, pee in this cup. No, they're pulling hair follicles and testing, under your nails, your fingerprints, and all types of things that you didn't necessarily think could have any kind of residue that they can pick up on. But yeah, they're testing. So I'm sure she did not involve herself with her ex-boyfriend like that. And that's probably the reason why he became an ex, because she could not be worried about what he was doing and still try to further herself in her career. So with that said, us regular people, we know that how trained professionals kind of gather that and really tried to make this story fit, that she's a part of his drug dealing. And, she was having stash houses 10 blocks or 10 houses away from where she actually lived. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous. And at this point, I just think we just need to keep applying pressure to this situation and many others that don't get the light of day, or they try to, again, cover it up, add extra details, make the person out to be somewhat of a criminal so they can justify their wrongdoing. And this is something that they do all the time, but it's harder to do when you don't have anything on the person. It's easy for, and I'm not even going to say media, because the cops, the justice system itself does it. And then because they're the ones that feed it to the media. So, they wind up doing something wrong, and then they quickly run to criminalize the victim and make the victim seem to be, well, they're not a victim. They was doing this and doing that, and this is why that happened to them. Because if they wasn't doing this, they would have been okay. And I think it's absolutely ridiculous that here we are in a space where this woman did nothing but have a relationship with someone who happened to be involved in some criminal activity. It doesn't mean that it doesn't mean that she even knew about it. She bailed him out of jail. I think one time they taped the phone conversation that they had, and she told him, hey, I cannot, be involved in this relationship with you, with all of this police activity you have going on around you. I just can't. Like, I tried it. It's just not working for me. I'm going to go about my business, what have you. They wind up breaking up. Then he wound up getting in some trouble. He called her. She bailed him out. And that was about the extent to where in which they were that involved. And it didn't even last that long. So for the police or the Justice Department in Kentucky to mash up this whole story to try and implicate this woman who they killed, is ridiculous. And I just don't know what more to say. Like, almost it's the same thing as in Trayvon Martin. It's like you kill a kid, but then you try to victimize the kid and say, well, see, he had a bad past and he was a troubled kid. No, he was just a kid. Like, this was just a woman who had a job, who didn't really, do anything out of place because she was concerned about her career. But because you goofed up and killed her, now you want to try and make it justifiable that, well, she died because she was involved in some drug activity. It's BS. And I'm so tired of hearing the same song and dance over and over and over and over again. But when they do things, it is a sense of, like the thuggish white teenager who took it upon himself to gather around with his other thugs and come and go to Kenosha, Wisconsin to shoot up people and talk about they were protecting businesses. That's what the police are for. That's what all that law enforcement, that's what all that big budget money comes from. The reason why they were riding around with tanks with the police sirens on it, that's where that money comes from. So why don't you just let them do it? No, it's because they get a free ticket to do the type of stuff like this, and it's okay. That's why he was able to shoot two people, put his hands up, walk towards the police, and they not do anything. And then when he asked the police chief, well, hey, you saw he shot two people. He came towards the police with his hands up like he was turning himself in, and y'all went right by him. Why? Because you don't see it. You don't see him as a threat because he looks like you. So you wouldn't see him as a threat, even though he shot two people plain as day right in sight. But you still don't see him as a threat. You see him even as a hero. How? Again, what businesses was he protecting? Isn't that your job as the police to protect, to serve and protect? So why the hell would you need a teenager to protect a business that he's not even from the area? So he has no business there to protect. He doesn't have a store. His parents don't. So what was he protecting? I know exactly what he was protecting. We all know exactly what he was protecting. So I'm just, at this point, it's like, I'm done with the song and dance. I'm done with the, we can't rush to judgment. No, we can, because we constantly see this over and over and over again. We see the same stories, same situations played over and over and over again. And when do we say, you know what? Enough. That kid was able to go all the way home. He was hours away from home. He went all the way home before he got arrested. Now, you think a black man would have done that and would have been able to go home? Even if he didn't shoot nobody. Say if the black man was just there and he was armed like that white boy just to protect the people. The police would have apprehended him so quick it wouldn't even have been funny if they didn't kill him first. So I just, we're at a place where we got to make a decision, and we can't sit here and, kind of debate small things when people are actually dying. We can't even look at it and be like, well, it's like Joe Biden's bad, Trump's worse. I really don't know. No, at this point, it's like, it's your life. Whether you want to live it or you want to move on, you have to make the choice because it's happening. I mean, to the point where he's basically having people who have just as little as a lot of us do his dirty work, and they don't even see it because all they concerned about is you taking over what they consider their jobs, or you taking over what they consider to be their heritage and their history, and wiping away things that they hold dear and are proud of. But at the same time, won't even admit that they are racist. Because that's going too far. That's going way too far. I can do all these things, but gee, don't call me racist because that's going way too far. How? Please explain. Somebody. Because it makes no sense. It really doesn't. And the fact that we have the highest office in this country and the most respected office in the world, no less, spewing this stuff like nobody's business. He just went to Kenosha. He just left there. And to turn a city that is already dealing with racial tension due to what happened to the young man, instead of trying to at least be somewhat calm about it, no, you have to literally go and praise the 17-year-old like he was protecting something. And then you wonder why these things keep happening. And then you stand back like, well, fine people on both sides. Get the hell out of here. But again, I'm not surprised that you cater to these white supremacists and these white supremacist evangelicals too, who will, hold the Bible in one hand and a burning cross in the other and try to make you feel like they're one and the same. They're not. They're not. Like, they're doing you a favor because they're worried about your ability to say, you know what, we can't afford this child. I can't afford this child. I don't want to raise this child in a one-person household, or whatever your decision may be, for you to say, you know what, not this time. I'll wait and go make a choice to have an abortion. No, they want to have that right to tell you what to do because it's not about us. And that's what we have to understand. That argument is not about us. That argument is clearly so they can make sure that they keep the race the way it is, that they keep ahead of the curve. That's the only reason why they're pushing for abortion rights, is so that they can keep ahead of the curve and it doesn't become this actual mixing pot of more black and brown people in places of authority. They thought Barack Obama would be kind of a joke. But once they started to see that our young people started to really become empowered by seeing two black people in the highest office, they got scared. They literally got scared. And you can tell it from the vote. I mean, Hillary, nobody really, she had her things about her, but I mean, come on, it was really no different. Because if you sitting up there concerned about emails, this man had dirt already before he even got into the White House, and he has more dirt now than he did before. So, I mean, what's the problem? They're both, kind of had sticky situations. The only issue was you saw that and you got scared. You realized that a lot more Black youth were applying to colleges and trade schools and doing all that kind of stuff. And that whole, all they're going to do is basketball and dribble kind of faded away a little bit. And it was more like, no, I could be Barack. I could be a Michelle. Let me go apply myself. Let me go do this. Let me go do that. And instantly you had to put on the brakes. So what'd you do? You dipped way back into your, I like his policies. I may not like what he stands for, but I like his policies. No, you like him. You like him for him. It has nothing to do with his policies. It has everything to do with his bottom line, his basic policy. Keep things the way they are. And don't get me wrong, not every Black person is for a change. You have to understand, and we all have to understand that, they have ingrained in us so much that white is better. White is a sense of you've made it, you've achieved. So when a lot of these affluent Black people feel like they've made it, they don't want to see that part. They don't want to even, acknowledge that part of them. They will rather stand with who they stand with, even if that means that person is killing their own people, because they don't see it that way. They don't even see you as their people. They see it as, well, why couldn't you do what I did? But you sold yourself to do it. You didn't do it by any means of no great, you didn't do it by no means of no great affluent background. Scraped and scribed, you kissed up to who you wanted to kiss up to until it was like, you know what? We could use you as a mouthpiece. It's clear. We saw it during the Republican convention. I ain't never seen so many Black Republican men in my life. Didn't even know we had them. In my day, Alan Keyes was the only one. And then came Tim Scott. But Alan Keyes, Tim Scott, Herman Cain came a little bit because he wasn't a Republican at first. But Alan Keyes was the first Black Republican that I knew of that was like black. Because even Colin Powell at some point, I don't think he was always a Republican, but he was pretty friendly with, Bush Sr. So he got in that way. And I think his, political affiliations changed shortly after. But needless to say, I really didn't see that many. Then all of a sudden they're like popping out the woodwork. Then I'm like, well, what are you doing? Well, you must be paying these folks, because I really can't see somebody really jumping on it. And this is why I even look at Tim Scott like, your office can't be that important to you. It can't. Because at some point you start to say, hey, when do what you're seeing become more important than you holding office and saying, oh, enough's enough. I can't even say this anymore. I can't even spew this anymore. My people are dying. As I'm sitting back feeling protected by the same group that's killing them, they are dying. So how can I even stand here and promote this? That's the part that I'm lost at, even for him. And the fact that, one, nobody mentioned any of them but him. So it's the fact that you mentioned them because you know that they exist, and the fact that you could still sit there on that podium, stand there rather, on that podium and say, and always throw that same story out like the Republicans always do. Like, well, yeah, I grew up like this and didn't have this, but I pulled myself up and I got myself together. as if we're the largest number of low, unqualified individuals in the United States, which is so not true. We could go to that whole Bible Belt and you will see, because I've done it on a college tour years ago. I ain't never seen so many poor white people in my life. Okay? Never. Didn't even know they existed like that. Like third world country look like. And I'm just like, and they look at our inner cities and kind of hold their breath when you could go right to the middle of America and see the most, I don't even know what to say. But yet these people will still vote against their interests because it benefits, it don't benefit them, but the race thing does. You know, if I keep spewing that, hey, if you let them win, they're going to come into your neighborhoods. What neighborhoods? What neighborhoods? Most of them people that are really that poor off, they have no neighborhoods. They don't have no, they don't live in no cul-de-sac unless it's a trailer park or something, or some kind of tin roof kind of thing situation going on. It's really bad for a lot of those people. But their only saving grace is that they're white. And it was it's been used time and time again. It was used before the Civil War. It's used after. It's just always the same story. You may be poorer than that black person you see over there, but the only good thing is that you're white. Now, what happens if you don't get to use your whiteness, though? Then what? Now you wasted a whole jumpstart benefit on life on what? Just the fact that you're white? So now you mad at me because my parents pushed me to a way of education and getting a job. Not just a job where I'm working in a coal mine, getting paid good money to kill myself. And then when that becomes obsolete, now I'm so mad at the government because they're taking away my job. But who the hell is going to use coal for the rest of their lives? Like, because if you was educated to any degree, you would know that coal at some point would be obsolete, because you can't keep doing that and still live on the planet, because you're killing the planet. So it's either you kill the planet, then where you going to live? Like, put two and two together. So this whole time, your grandpappy, your great-grandpappy, all you other coal miners, nobody thought of, hey, let me go get a trade from a trade school at least. So just in case this don't work out after a while, I can at least have something to fall back on. No, not at all. Not at all. And these same places that you push for this, let's keep things the way that they are, or, kind of let's go back to when America was great BS, are run by Republicans. Yet you get no health care that's adequate enough, even though you have it with the Affordable Care Act. But as long as they push it as Obamacare and it has his name on it, and you know him as what? A black man, you don't want it no how, even though it helps you. And your state ain't even going to press you about it because it helps their argument. Because if they say, oh, Obamacare is bad, you're going to say, yeah, it is bad, because I can't even get health coverage and drug coverage for me. I can't, and my premiums cost so much. You want to know why, dumb? Because your governor said, you know what? No, I'm not going to take that. Yeah, I know it's mandated that every state has to have it, but I can pick and choose what in the program I'll take and what in the program I won't accept. And that's what every governor does. They cherry pick. Now, some don't, but a lot of those Republican governors, yeah, they do. And they do it on purpose because it helps push the narrative. It helps push the whole, see, look, this is no benefit to you. We could do better. But yet, it is funny how every Republican administration, every single one, they've always seemed to talk about spending, yet they spend the most and always leave us in a deficit. So now I'm confused. So either you're about saving money or you're about spending money. Make it make sense. It's always the case with these guys. It's like, I really don't know why you keep pushing this. Even him. I mean, this President Orange, crazy. If you think he cares about anybody other than whomever is on his tax bracket, he could care less. The rest of these people are making money stealing from the same government. They are stealing, taking it, just padding their pockets until they gotta go. They are padding their pockets and they're doing it deeply. So much so, I just came across a story today that the one of the board members for the United States Postal Service is not a contributor because he runs a super PAC for Mitch McConnell. So it's like, listen, all of these people, they're all in bed together. When you think, those commenters were like, well, no, Mitch McConnell is going to stand up against President Donald Trump. The hell he is. When his wife is the transportation secretary and he can get tons and millions of dollars to Kentucky for projects. And you want to know what those projects are? Oh, they're nothing to build, nothing for anybody to get a job. They're to build high rises and stuff to make Kentucky and all the other places that people wouldn't consider moving to, especially white folks, more like urban cities. So you could be like, hey, you don't have to go to New York or Chicago. You could stay right here. We're going to make it look nice. We're going to make it look like an urban city, and you could stay right here. I mean, right now, that PPP, the little small business loan, they done already found that big businesses and big companies have been double dipping. Are we surprised? And that there's still over $177 million of funds untouched. 77 or 133 million. One of those. Either it's 177 or 133 million, but it's still untouched money. So you mean to tell me you have all that money sitting there for what? Some more businesses that claim that they are down and out to steal it and use it for their own personal wealth, while you have millions of people out of work, losing their job by the minute, even with the furloughs, because that was a whole stipulation too, that again, it's always the fine print with this. You got to really pay attention. So when the pandemic hit, there was a lot of furloughs going on, right? But in order for the company that you may work for to get that extra business bonus to kind of keep them afloat, they had to then furlough their workers. They couldn't fire them. They had to furlough them. Why can't you fire them? Well, you can't fire them because, one, that would make unemployment shoot through the roof. And we're all about numbers, right? Don't really care about anything else. People dying, how many people get infected. Just don't show the numbers. We don't want the numbers to look bad, because if the numbers look bad, the people look bad, and then I look bad. And I don't want to look bad because I'm the president. So no, we're going to say, hey, you'd have to furlough your workers. All right, so they furlough them. Meanwhile, while they're furloughed, you can now collect unemployment, right? Because the government's going to pay that. Your company doesn't have to pay that. The government's going to give you that unemployment. The company's just going to use that money to keep themselves afloat, keep the lights on, keep a minimal staff, and kind of work with that. But what's happening now is that money is running out. While Congress is sitting back and people saying, hey, Mitch, get back and, make a vote. Mitch McConnell's sitting back. Why? Because they got their money already. This is not for you. They don't really care about everyday citizens because their whole goal is, well, at the end of the day, we can still say, hey, don't vote for Biden. Look, he's got Kamala. It's going to be more of the same like Barack Obama. And we don't want that, do we, guys? And a lot of them are just going to say, you know what? No, let's give him another 4 years to make a difference. How? Who? This man right now is running as if he has never been president 4 years. Like this is his new, like he is running as a new candidate. Like, no, this is all under you. This is nobody's fault but your own. And everybody's riding this wave. That's why if anybody's in Kentucky, please get your butts out there and vote. You need to get Mitch gone. Trump needs to go. All these people need to go. And then once that's settled, then we can work on a lot of these Democrats too, because some of these people need to go too. I think there needs to be a whole lot of term limits on a lot of these offices. You should not be in office for 50, 60 years, come out with a fat paycheck and haven't really done anything. I think we need to start having, like at your job when you have like this assessment thing and, they go over your numbers and how you're progressing. And if you're not, you got to go or to have a sit down and then you got to sign. Something needs to happen because this is too much. Like these people are making tons of money and nothing is being done. Nothing is being accomplished. They go back and forth with the same rhetoric about, oh, well, the Republicans did this and the Democrats did that. Yeah, both parties are full of it a lot of times. That is very true. Both parties are full of it. But what we can do, we can make sure that first we local politicians together. Okay, we start doing that. That can start to affect change. We can't, you're not going to really affect that much change trying to get the person at the top out when everybody at the bottom going all the way down is corrupt as hell. It's not going to work. Right now, what we mainly have to do, of course, get the top person out because he's a total butthole. But you definitely have to work on your local levels, getting all those people out as well, because that's the way you really make change. And yes, Keisha, you can do both because we have to do both. Right now, there's no excuse and no sit down, no sit out, no anything, because this is a point in which it's a live or die moment. I mean, and it's just that serious. There's no other way to look at it when you can just see this. I just saw a clip on my Instagram. This white man ran into a whole car so hard that he knocked the door off. And he was drunk as hell. You can clearly see he was drunk. Police officer just standing there, lets the man. And I mean, I guess maybe because it was Beverly Hills area or whatever, that's a certain thing that they get away with. I don't know. All I know is the man was white, officer was white. The car door of the person's car that he hit was clearly off, knocked all the way off. He was actually trying to get back in the car, and officer's just standing there like, would you like me to help you, sir, get back into your car? I'm not. And yet, if it's one of us, we shooting first and asking questions later. Then to talk about, well, he was drunk. I didn't know what he was doing. I didn't want him to injure anybody else. Come on. We have two justice systems in here. We got one where they actually go through a process, and the other one where the police officer is the judge, the jury, and the executioner all rolled into one. And if God forbid his white ass gets scared or her white ass gets scared because somebody goes boo, your life may be over. I don't understand it. I really, 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 really don't. Hell, maybe I'm not supposed to understand it. I don't know. I really don't know. Really, really, really don't know. And excuse me, but my mouth is on fire because my best friend gave me some like these ramen noodles. It's like ginger. It was garlic flavored, and they were like hot as hell. So my mouth was like on fire, but they were good. They were good. It was like some new noodles or whatever, but it was hot. But anyway, I digress. So, yeah, that's pretty much what's going on in the world right now as we know it. Also, another side eye moment. McDonald's. Okay? Now listen, I know that a lot of people do the franchise thing because it's a part of ownership. But to me, franchising is like sharecropping. You don't really own it. You own a portion of it. You still got to do the work and work the land, but you don't get all the benefits. You get a small portion of what the big house gets from your labor, right? So here we go with the goddamn McDonald's. McDonald's been shortchanging their black franchises. Yep, McDonald's has been shortchanging them on economic opportunities than their white counterparts, shortchanging them on, building maintenance, charging them more. How about that? Charging them more to, remake, because, the McDonald's had to do a whole facelift or whatever. So the black franchises was charged more to do the worldwide whatever change that they were doing to their stores. However, the white ones were not. The white ones actually got a discount. Any other kind of maintenance, the black franchises was charged a lot more. So they're all getting together in the hell out of McDonald's. I say good for them. It's sad it took you this long to figure that out, but sometimes when the money's good and you get all caught up in the fantasy of, oh, look, I'm a part of something big. Maybe you don't really pay attention and you don't see that they actually out here, sharecropping your ass. And that's just what they did. And, I wish them nothing but the best. It's about 52 people in that goddamn lawsuit. So more power to them. That means it wasn't just the oops. That means they was really duping the kids, because that's a lot of people. It's a lot of people, and it's going to be a lot of money pouring out, maybe. So let's hope that these people get their money that they deserve from this goddamn McDonald's corporation doing this to the people. That doesn't make any sense, none whatsoever. Thought that was really messed up. And lastly, I think I did that McDonald's, with the 52 folks. And so let's talk about, and I guess this is more on the wellness part. So a lot of times, like with the death of Chadwick Boseman with the colon cancer, a lot of times in our communities, we don't like to talk about health issues. And, some of us really don't like to go to the doctor, and that's a whole thing. And sometimes when you do go to the doctor, or when the person actually goes to the doctor after they've been throwing up blood or all this kind of stuff, you find out you got something and you only got months to live, which I think is crazy. I don't know where that comes from. I really don't. I wish I knew, because it's like something's wrong with me. I'm a hypochondriac. I'm looking it up. I'm like, oh God, I'm gonna die. I'm going to the doctor. My friends are looking at me like you crazy. And I'm just like, I can't. But I've known growing up, family members have been sick. And it was like, oh, so-and-so went to the hospital. And you just think, oh, okay, they're just going to the hospital. And then like the next week, it's like, they're not here. What? And as a kid, that messes with your head. And I just noticed that, it was very much a well, if it's going to take me out, it's going to take me out. I'm not worried about it. I'll let God handle it. Can we stop? Can we stop, people? Like, listen, God gave us all a brain, right? God gave us all wisdom, right? So a lot of times, those doctors, God gave them that too. So sometimes you have to kind of trust God that the process that you're going through will lead you out with a result that you'll be satisfied with. Whatever it is, put it in God's hands. But you got to go through it. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I could not understand that. Like, I even had to tell my mom like a few times, like, hey, if you trust God, you have to show that you trust God. You can't just say, oh, I trust God, and then be sitting there, I ain't taking that medicine. I ain't doing this. I'm not doing that. You have to trust God in all aspects. You can't just trust him on certain stuff and not on this. Like, well, God, I'll give you this, but I can handle that. If you're going to give it to him, you give it to him. If you're not going to give it to him, then don't give it to him. But a lot of times I think we sit around and we just let stuff fester and we just, oh, whatever it's going to be, it's going to be. And then when it gets too late, you get scared and you want to be like, oh, no, wait, I take it back. I'll go do something now. And it's too late. So, and I'm not saying that that's possibly what happened to this young man, but it just brought to my attention how we don't really, feel signs of something and instantly act upon it. We let it go. And then to the point where it becomes so big that they can't really do anything about it. And then you have to sit there and, feel like, oh, well, dang. Oh, well, I guess I'm going to just live it up till I go. He said I only got 6 months, but you could have had a lot longer had you, paid attention to your body, one, actually done what they asked you to do. Hey, at 40, at whatever, even women with your mammograms, it's uncomfortable. Nobody likes to do them things. I don't even like doing what I got to do, but you do it. Like, it's like you do it. And if they catch it early, that may be, right then and there where they can catch it and it can actually save your life instead of just letting something fester to the point where it's like, okay, it's too late. Now, some things, when they do catch them because of the severity of the cancer or disease, it is already at that point. Because as soon as they see it, it's already too late. And for those things, sometimes they have no symptoms or no signs. So sometimes it just happens. And for those cases, I'm not talking about those, but I'm talking about the ones where you have a situation where you're always eating something and you're throwing up, or you're always eating something and you don't feel good. Oh, well, yeah, it was just too much grease. Maybe not. Maybe it's something else. So, instead of just trying to assume, oh, maybe it was just gas. No, instead of just assuming that you know what it is, because, your doctoral PhD may not be the same as someone else's. So you might want to get a second opinion to confirm with your knowledge of your body and, the degree you have in knowing what's going on with you. You can confer that with someone else who also has a degree a little further than yours to confirm or to say, you know what, actually, you're right. It is just gas. Or no, actually, you were having a heart attack. And, oh, gee, thanks. And, that could be the point of where it saves your life. So I'm just saying that we need to start taking our health seriously and not playing a game with our health. With this whole corona thing going around and them just letting it just ravage through our communities and through our areas because they're trying to get rid of us anyway. So, hey, why not? You got the police on one end, you got corona on the other, you got the Justice Department on another. We're getting attacked by all fronts, okay? There ain't a front. Education everywhere. There's not a front where they are not trying to attack us. So we need to protect ourselves as much as we can. And if that means, hey, you're going to have to cut back on a lot of the Sunday grandma dinners with the fried chicken and the this and the that. Hey, okay, cut back. Cut back. Don't eat it as much. Start eating more vegetables and not that canned garbage. Let's start eating more vegetables, putting more vegetables in your diet. I did it for an entire year. It was all right. I mean, it was expensive. Yeah, and that's crazy too, because the bullshit costs a lot less than the actual stuff that's good for you. That makes no sense. None whatsoever. I could buy 5 things. Kid you not. I can walk out of a mom's market or some kind of organic market with 5 things and pay almost $75 and go to any other grocery store, get a whole bunch of BS and maybe $50. Maybe $50. But we have to start making that investment in ourselves. And look at it as an investment. Yeah, some of the stuff, it don't taste all that great. And I'm not going to lie to you. Some of it don't taste all that great. But what it does do, though, it helps you get rid of all that stuff. It's almost like having a junky closet. Sometimes you got to clean it out, straighten stuff up, put stuff away, give stuff away. And then, you might feel better. So sometimes you just got to take a break from all that fast food and fried this and fried that and this, that, and the other, and just try to incorporate more of something else to kind of give your body a break, because we're able to sometimes, heal ourselves. But if you keep putting garbage on top of garbage on top of garbage, your body it won't be able to kind of restart and clean all that stuff out. So sometimes it needs some help, which means we need to stop eating so much garbage and kind of, be a little better. Because again, we're being attacked on a lot of fronts here, and we need to start doing something to protect ourselves, because it's just crazy. Yep. So we just have to make sure we protect ourselves from what we're doing, because life is too short and we never know. So being that we never know, we don't want to push it to the point where we make it to where it's like, okay, we have to do this now. Like, nope. Yep. So yeah, but that's all I had really for you guys today. Nothing major. Just hope everybody's well and you stay well. Stay focused. Please make sure you check your voter registration. Make sure that you fill out your census, please. You have until the end of this month, because I believe they were supposed to be able to, they were going to push it. Originally, it was supposed to be to the end of October. But of course, this administration trying to make sure you don't get counted in any way possible, be it your ballot by mail, being counted for your representation and your funding for your communities with the census, any way possible. So they have cut the census short by a whole month, which means for the census counters, they will not be able to count everyone to make sure that they get an accurate count of everybody in this country. So they're cutting it short. So please make sure that you fill out your census online at the census.com. I can put it in here. I know I have it. Yeah, because that's important. And we want to make sure that we utilize as much as we can to ensure that, we're counted. We spent so long not being counted. The last thing that any of us would want to do is continually not be counted by the choices we make. So let's do let's do our ancestors a favor, those who have bled and died for freedom, for the ability and the right to just live. We need to do that and stand for them. Every time we go vote, we need to remember that someone We may not know who it was, and that shouldn't matter. The only thing that we need to know is when we go to these voting booths and when we fill out these applications for census and all these, that somebody could not do it. Somebody was killed trying to do it. Somebody was hanging from a tree because they had aspirations to do it. And for that, you are standing in the gap. You are standing as the person to say, you know what? My ancestor couldn't do it, but I can, and I will for this person. And every vote I make will be for every person that was denied this very right. It has nothing to do. See, we get so trained into the selfishness of the rest of them. We are not like them. So we have to kind of get out of that mindset. We are not like them. We know that. They knew that. That's why they brought us here. So the main purpose for us is to make sure that we always instill that we come on the backs of many people. And so our vote is not just your vote. It's the vote of everybody behind you. Is when you fill out a form, when you go to a job application, when you do anything, there are people that came behind you that could not do these things. So when we take things so lightly and, oh, well, we didn't have nothing to do with that, or I don't know nothing about that. The minute you start to forget that is the minute they quickly let you remember. It's the same thing like the statues coming down. You know, you think, oh, it's no big deal. That has nothing to do with me. Blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay, and they're taking it down. Oh, no, you're taking down our history. Now everything's got to come down. Why does everything got to come down? Well, why was it put up there in the first place? To put you in your place and to show you that they are greater. Even these monuments and these statues of these white people, larger than life. Larger than life. To show what? So I'm just trying to figure out, just help me understand. But anyway, you guys have a great night. As always, it's been a pleasure. I'm sorry I missed anybody who came in late. So I just want to say hello to everybody. First Lady, as I see you, Brother Nate, Queen Diva, hello, always a pleasure. Hey, Just Jess, always great to see you. Keisha, I spoke to you earlier, but it is always great to see you. Keisha Bishop, great. Hey, Nicole Goddess, how are you? Nice to see you. Anybody have some last minute questions or anything they want to, or any story that they came across that maybe I didn't talk about? Hey, what's up, Lemon? What's going on? But other than that, I think that's all I have for right now. But please make sure that you tune in to the midday show, the rundown at 12 noon. It's just a live chat, but recorded news video. The gentleman's panel will be on Jay Wilson's channel on Thursday, so please be there or be square. As always, it will be insightful, fun, a little jokey joke, but not too much. Because again, serious things are happening, and we don't want to gloss over the seriousness that is going on in the world to fill ourselves with, joking and going back and forth when things are really happening that affect us all. So we always want to keep that in mind. And yeah, for some, you could say it's boring. It's boring, but it's like, okay. At the same time, though, you sitting at home because you're unemployed because of a coronavirus. So I don't know how boring it could be when, if they decide to stop unemployment and everything else, a lot of people would be up shit's creek. So, I mean, hey, I'd rather take a minute from the jokey joke to really talk about something serious and get some clarity than to be sitting here laughing and joking. It's almost like, what's that? The story of the grasshopper and the ant, I think it was, where the grasshopper was just the whole summer just playing around, dancing, and doing all kinds of stuff while the ants were busy, grabbing food and storing it up for the winter. And then the winter came and Grasshopper was cold as hell with no food, no nothing, because he spent the whole summer just kind of, basking in the sunlight and dancing around. It's the kind of same concept. We spend too much time dancing around, laughing, joking, making fun of, doing all this other kind of things that are done. And then, you look back and you're like, oh, well, this has happened. That's happened. When did this happen? Why did this happen? You don't know because you wasn't paying attention. So, with that, let's just always make sure that we're paying attention. It's good to laugh and joke, but we still got to be focused. But with that, anyway, you guys have a great night. God bless. Good night. And I am out. Peace out. Peace.